Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to day 2 of the EU Regional Smite Championships. All today, we're going to be seeing the best teams competing down to 4 already. I am Hindu Man, and alongside me is the one, the only, the inglorious DM Brandon.
Inglorious?
I love the bow tie. Makes me happy.
I did it for you.
Oh, baby. So good.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the culmination of the European Smite Championships. Today, we have a somber day as 2 teams will fail to make it to Worlds, as 2 of their brethren will make it not only to the world stage, but to fight for a prize pool of well over $1 million.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a big tournament for both these, all these teams involved today. I mean, they are now the top 4 teams in EU.
Yeah.
Confirmed after yesterday's performances and the additional seeding from the SPL.
This was it was a hard-fought road yesterday. We actually caught the 2 eliminated teams having a little bit of an after party, and
sad boys.
It was pretty sad, boys.
It was sad, boys, but it was painful because we were like, Hindu, give me a hug. I just need to feel better. What went wrong?
They played amazing. Check. There we go.
There we go.
Back.
We're back.
We're going to take a look at the brackets. We'll see the eliminated teams and the 4 teams remaining in contention for the world stage.
So on the screen right now, you'll see a transition there. Cloud9 eliminated yesterday in interesting fashion, we'll say, yes. Overall between the 2 guys. I mean, you know, game 1
maybe
went
the
in their
most
favor.
interesting.
That was crazy.
Game 2 of COG Aquila versus Cloud9 HyperX will go down in infamy for sure.
It's going to be there for a long time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, as well, both those teams, when you see them as well, when you spoke to Cloud9 yesterday, like we said, we saw them at the after party yesterday. They were like, we don't know what went wrong. Something just happened, and it was over.
But they're going to be playing, Aquila will be playing in our first matchup today, and they're going to be going up against the first seed coming out of the Smite Pro League, and that's going to be Fnatic.
Fnatic, we've not seen them yet.
Right.
But we did see them. We did see them as well look at the TSM Invitational, where they took first place.
Right.
They look very, very strong there for their very first LAN ever. It's very, very interesting to see them be so good.
Later on today, we'll be seeing as SK moves on to fight against Mortality after their amazing win.
No one can hear it.
Hey! And we're back.
We're just going to keep going, hey! In a few minutes when it comes back up. That sounds good.
We'll be seeing as they go up. SK has major contention versus Mortality. You know, I watched a lot of scrims, and going into this, Mortality, I think, had the cleanest communication. And Sayo is looking confident.
Oh, I've never seen Sayo like this before.
Never.
He's
Not
really
at LAN.
pumped. Like, he's like, I've never not qualified for a LAN before. I'm not starting today.
Yeah, it was actually, it was pretty inspiring.
That's game 2 today, which we'll come back to later. But first of all, let's go back to game 1. Aquila, we're going to see Repicast from yesterday as well. Repicast.
That's right. We have a beautiful replay for you, of course. Repicast was instrumental in their victory yesterday, especially with that quadra kill.
17 kills, 7 deaths, as you can see straight away. But we'll start off with that game of the defense in that second game.
Yeah, how did they get to that point?
How did it get to this point? I mean, you can see it on the screen now. Prime defending with the areas. You can see Kanye going in, trying to do the work.
You see the fire shards come out, and that should have been the deterrent, but they were smart. They realized they didn't have a lot. Comfrey's very low at this point, still super tanky. Repicast finds a good shot. Ataraxia picks up one. Comfrey goes down there, doesn't quite get the dodge, and a beautiful shot from the back sends Kanye back to the base to heal up, and you see the retreat coming. Now, Optics there picks up Ataraxia. They still have a little bit of push, and they're going to use that to get that 3rd Phoenix.
But notice how Prime just sat right at the back. He didn't go aggressive. He sat back and just poked. Made sure he could stay safe, then went back to base, recalled again, got full health, comes back in, stays at max range, just trying to poke them down. He's not overextending, coming completely to the fight. He's just trying to keep them busy.
So that right there, that's GG. That's, you lose 3 Phoenixes, the Titan's almost dead, you have fire minions. This game is over.
This is done right now. Look at the fire minions on it as well. But Repicast chases down the backers as well, and then straight after. But then,
even here, I thought it was over.
No, me too. I thought the minions were going to do it, but then they push back. The turret helps defend the Titan as well, with the backfire as well. really helping out. And then after this, we transition into what happened at the other end.
About 6 months ago, they buffed Ares, maybe a little bit longer, to where the fire pushed minions back now instead of just hitting them. And everyone's like, that buff will never make a difference.
Will not make a difference. Well, later
just
on in the
won
game,
them the game.
Here's the quadra kill that we all saw yesterday, and it was pretty much a two-man fight as this one goes on. Prime does end up going down very, very early, but you can see that he cleans up Elolito straight away, turns back round, looking for the damage. Great fist to the gods there just to keep them both pinned so he can avoid the CC. Chases Bobat, ignores Bacchus for now. He'll come back for that one later.
And the Witchblade keeping him in tandem, allowing him to get his target right there. The triple's huge, focuses down High Rock. Of course, the target switches as well. As you see, the quadra kill comes out. They kill Optics in the background. It was beautiful.
It was really, really nice. And that was the end of the game because they sent two members back there to defend against the Optic split, which was looking to end the game with a backdoor teleport. Didn't manage to find it. Clean up, take that game, make it 1-1. And then we get the final game.
Can we talk about how good Kali is and how she has always been good and that she's great?
Like the jungle right now, Saket, Mercury, Freya. Thinking about the whole of the jungle. And who's better than Kali?
Nobody.
Bobats.
You're going to call him Bobats?
Bobats.
You're going to call him Ninja Bobats?
Bobats.
Ninja Bobat came out of nowhere with the Humbots pick, a character that all of the casters agree is very strong and is underplayed for no reason. Bobat came out like an absolute beast yesterday.
The players don't think so, though. The players don't think that about Humbots.
Even after yesterday, they're like, nah, it's not that good.
Like, who picks Humbots? Like, there's like so many more.
Ninja Bobat definitely disagreed there as he did lock him in 2 games in a row. We thought after the domination that was the first game, it would be pretty clear. Watch this. Look at the potential he has. Jumps right into the problem, pushes someone directly against the wall, finds the kill, pops the beads for continued pressure, jumps again afterwards just to make sure that Agni gets rushed back. Even after this stun, he's not deterred. I love it.
He goes back in, but jukes back to the beads is the most important thing. See how long he waited with the monkey before he teleported? He waited for the right opportunity, thinking he was disengaged. Nah, I'm going back in. I'm going again.
I just love it. I love the way that he played all 3 games. I mean, he was instrumental in their victories.
Well, even the players themselves said, during scrims, Bobat isn't like that. It doesn't seem to happen. He normally gets stomped, is what they said. Cloud9 themselves said, he normally doesn't do very well, but maybe he may be the land monster of junglers at lands.
That's true. I mean, most junglers actually seem to suffer at land.
That's true.
I would say Lassus gets better on land. But, you know, Xing didn't do as well on land, generally speaking. I think maybe Weekend, though. We've only seen Weekend 1 time at land, but the 1 time he showed up, he was a monster.
Well, talk about other junglers as well. We do see a little replay of Thor coming up on your screens now as well. This is Cubo Fred from TSM yesterday. And TSM didn't have the performance did perform well throughout the game. It was basically one fight every single time that just swayed the balance and turned this one around. This is Cubo looking for the double tap there. He does manage to find it, takes to the sky, see what he can pick up.
So watch this. He comes down, he misses it. Unfortunate. But a great route coming out there on the back from Trich Tank allows him to go back in. Berserkers was huge. Beautiful stun off the landing. They needed to shut Maniac down. He was too big at that point, and now look at the double tap. Lord in heaven, he's just so good.
The double tap happened, and he immediately teleported to that, to be in range, to be able to follow up with the autos if required. Then he comes back around the side, follow up with his team, forcing Twig away. One more double tap, another kill for himself, and now he's like, chase the Badger, which we saw did not work.
Yeah, that was actually one of the reasons I think that game went sour. They spent too much time chasing Badger, and he actually ran out of mana and get turned on. The other thing is, right there at the end, the Agni shot from Twig. It was frame perfect to the Aegis ending, which allowed SK to wind up taking that team fight in the end by just kind of delaying them long enough to get back up and fight for the Fire Giant.
And then across the way, we saw SK gaming as well. And one name to mention, Maniac on Zhong, the mystical male first item build against Osiris. And it works perfectly. All the players are like, that's a really good build. And
this is what
can't deny it.
Something that not a lot of players are recognizing is that if you have opponents in the jungle and the solo lane against you that are of the same type, you build that defense guaranteed no matter what you should normally build. He built Mystical Mail to start. Here's the Heavenly Agility to speed up. Covers Badger. Recall Demons is coming out. Bleeding damage everywhere.
As well as the Mystical Mail on top of that. Right. He turns looking for Thor, forcing the beads out as well. Continues chasing the team. Look at his HP. He's so high right now. Just consistently healing up. Throwing out these cards.
Did you see that? Did you see that right there? He throws the card, immediately turns around. He's like, I've already got this one. I didn't need to mess with this one anymore.
He's dead. Don't worry about it.
Guaranteed.
Move on. Really, really well played.
I love it.
But that's about comms as well, because you have to be able to call that, say, he's dead, trust me, he's dead. Move on to the next target, we can continue.
That was just, all the games yesterday were incredible.
Oh, they really were.
Of course, to me, and I think probably to everyone that has ever watched a single game of Smite, C9 versus Aquila game 2 was the bar none. I mean, that defense is, that's only happened one other time.
Yeah, is for all 3 Phoenixes to go down.
And you're Titan to be at 10%?
10%. That's very, very unusual.
It's heartbreaking.
We've never seen that happen before. All 3 Phoenixes, I'm sure, because I'm pretty sure...
Well, Snipe and Cog at the launch tournament.
3?
Yeah, all 3 Phoenixes, 10%. What happened was Xing used the bleed from Bastet, accidentally hit Geb, and the cat switched. That's rough. Ooh.
It's rough. But then again, you just saw the Cloud9 one. Like, they even hogged it as well. They had fire minions still pouring in. Oh.
It's a rough life, man.
I came down to the sad boys yesterday, like we said. Sad boys.
But day 1 was brilliant, front to back.
Really
but let's talk about day 2 here. Our first match of the day, we're going to be talking straight up about Aquila and first seed Fnatic.
Well, Fnatic we've not seen yet in action at this tournament, obviously, because they got the bye through to the semi-finals for finishing first. Record of 14-6 in the Pro League. Overall.
There you can see him right there. There's the captain, Shadow Nightmare, extremely focused. Funball is the captain, that's right.
That's Shadow Nightmare. They're just chilling out now before. They've got a few more minutes to just prepare themselves, get themselves into position, make sure that all the equipment's correct and the setup that they usually like, you know, like mouse sensitivity, things like that. Frostiak in the jungle as well. One of the most supporting junglers, would say.
Yeah.
He's not someone that gets on the score sheet in terms of kills a lot. He'll be a very supportive. He plays like the Ymirs and things like that really support.
He likes utility.
That team. And then the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend in the solo lane.
I'm still under the assumption that this player is maybe the best player in the world. There have been points in time where people have banned him out and picked him out. 4 to 5 gods taken from his pool, and then he just picked something random and wins the lane anyway. Xaylia has been instrumental in his team's ability to move forward. Captain Funball aiming at the camp.
Happy now.
That's why we call him Funball.
He's in a good. The thing about the Fnatic lads, they're all laugh. And there's the real mouth.
The most underestimated player in the entire world. Fnatic's Half Devil is amazing.
If he was American, we'd call him the mouth from the south. That's what I call him, because he just doesn't stop.
He never stops, ever. I've never heard him not talking.
And when he is talking, it's sometimes sense. At least when he's in game. When he's in game, it's all sense.
Oh, man. He is 80% of their comms. This guy's calling everything. He's like, okay, the Gulf Fury's coming up in exactly 30 seconds. These cooldowns are down. We have these beads. We have this hog. This fist is down. We can engage from this angle. Follow me. Do this. Hard switch. And the rest of the team, they follow him front to back. His shot calling is unbelievable. In fact, he might be the best shot caller in the world right now.
The way he plays is just very, very strong as well. Like, as a frontline guardian, he realizes when the right moment to engage is. He doesn't hesitate, which is one thing that sometimes happens because you're worried whether your team's going to follow. He'll engage and hope his team follows up, or expect them to, because he's played with them enough.
And it's such a weird route that he took to this point, because he started off as a friend of a player on a team to which then he subbed with a one god pool. He played literally only Wukong. And every time that Wukong got banned or picked before he got it, he fed uncontrollably. And now he is definitely one of the best supports in the world, and is undoubtedly the best shot caller in Smite.
He has like diamond, I think he has, diamond, like, name of every guardian in the game as well. Like, he just plays guardian, absolutely. And then he's still got the warrior transition too. We saw Hercules when he played for Cloud9 at one point, with that amazing tower defense against TSM in that crazy game that went on for a very long time. They managed to defend for so long. But Half Devil's been around for a long time. Ended up leaving Cloud9.
Right.
Well,
yeah, he did not leave.
Let's be honest. He was removed from Cloud9.
He was removed.
And then ends up turning up with Fnatic, taking first seed for this LAN.
They were team kicked at first because Funball got removed, Shadow Nightmare got removed, and Funball, or rather Half Devil got removed, Frostiak got benched, and then Xaylia left the team. So now they put this team together, and they've been almost unstoppable.
It's very strange because Exposed Secrets, back before the SPL, when we had the SWC championships, everyone was talking about Exposed Secrets when that first kicked off as potential, because they were all well-known players. They were all very, very good at the game. But the problem was there was something missing, some synergy. And I think with Half Devil being brought into the side and Daisy becoming the coach, it's really just synergized this team perfectly. And they rely on Xaylia and Funball are there. They're the carriers. You've got Frostiak in the jungle with Half Devil supporting. And then mid lane, Shadow Nightmare, very, very safe mid laner. He doesn't make all the big plays for his team. He doesn't get high on the score sheets in terms of KDA. But what he does do is support that mage presence for the kills for Xaylia.
We actually didn't talk a lot about Shadow Nightmare. The guy's god pool is ridiculous.
We saw Zeus at some point.
When he first came onto the scene, he was playing pre-buff Zeus in mid lane. He was playing Anubis in the mid lane. I mean, the guy plays anything everywhere, and he is incredible at it. With that, his team has formed this strategy, though, around we can put Zayli in the solo and allow him to just be ridiculous. And if they ever rotate, Shadow Nightmare can then rotate in the opposite direction and just pick things off, whether it's Gold Furies, duo lane kills, setting his team up in any way that they can to make sure that his team is winning, and that's what they're doing.
That's right. I mean, that seems to be the whole plan from their strategy is Zayli gets farmed, and he may get solo kills, but then he will rotate and then start picking up kills once he's got his farm going.
Exactly.
Funballer at the same time. Funballer and Half Devil will fight anyone. They're quite comfortable in lane.
Yes.
They will fight. And Frostiak is one of these that will, when he comes to gank, everyone goes aggressive. Like Frosty blinks in with Ymir, Frost, everyone goes in, boom. Job's good. But Shadow Nightmare generally plays defensive until that moment happens.
Let's talk a little bit about the other team now. We've been harping on Fnatic. I mean, they're brilliant players.
Well, we've not seen them yet. That's probably why.
We need to talk about the underdogs here. The Cinderella story that has brought Agilitas to this point as Aquila.
Before yesterday, a lot of people had Aquila tagged as possibly gonna just clean this up and go to Worlds. But yesterday's performance,
a lot. They were
it's
hailed.
not to be expected.
I think they were hailed as from the other players as the strongest team in scrims.
That's right. Especially in the top half of the bracket, they were hailed as like they're gonna probably win this outright.
Yeah.
The problem was yesterday. I'm gonna say nerves first of all had a big influence on their performance in that tournament. You saw we've seen them join the challenger scene the whole time, and those ult combos that they love to do just didn't synergize correctly. They didn't land enough anytime.
I've become such a big fan of this team, especially Confrey, a character who has a very unique, or rather, a player who has a very unique god pool. He has been very, very strong throughout
He's grown.
Yeah. Really he started off a little bit weaker. You know, we've known that name Confrey for a long time, over a year now, and you can see actually Confrey right there, sitting down in the front, pretty prime in the back with the coach in between. My man Oates.
His name's Captain Coach.
I'm still calling him Oates.
Captain Coach.
There's the captain actually sitting down right there. Frezzy, probably the quietest.
Frezzy? No. See, we've been joking about this because they look very, very similar.
They look exactly the same. I can't do it. But actually, it's probably the quietest captain. Also, you can see Babyface Murder in the background, or now Kanye Life, has the deepest voice I've ever heard, and it makes me very uncomfortable when it comes out of his mouth.
And then also in the background there, you can see Bird with the Hound. He's going to be the analyst for the team as well. And finally, the last.
I'm sorry, this is the captain.
This is the captain.
Ataraxia.
They all look the same.
Oh my
These
God,
Europeans, it's so difficult.
I can't stand it.
It's so difficult. We all look so similar.
Ataraxia making a name for himself with his very unique builds, helped theory crafted out by Kret, one of the other casters, coach of a Chinese team, very notable player himself. Ataraxia, known for using what we call the unicorn build.
Well, he's adopted as unicorn just because, call it the Kret build.
Well, unicorn build, because unicorns are unique and rare.
And also Kret and Crit is a bit too close together.
Rip.
That's probably the other reason for it.
So just to go into it a little bit, the unicorn build dictates attack speed and penetration greater than critical chance, removing the RNG and ensuring that you will kill this character in X amount of hits versus maybe killing them in 2 and maybe killing them in 7.
It's mixed up between the players are 50-50 on it. A lot of them don't like it because they prefer the RNG, because when you do get that big crit, you burst mages quicker.
Oh yeah, they just drop.
However, you do also have the issues of when you've got the crit, you can burst somebody down, but there's also the chance that you might not crit. Whereas with the unicorn build, you will do consistent damage, but it may take a little bit longer generally, especially if they've not got much armor, for example, because you're not getting as much penetration as you would normally expect.
What's also very strong, though, is there is built-in healing reduction with Brawler's Beatstick. If you couple that with a Divine Ruin and a Pestilence, it is over 100%, allowing you to guarantee healing reduction without the use of Weakening Curse, keeping a slot open for Shell or Heavenly Agility.
Against a fellow Hunter in a Brawler's Beatstick match, because they've gone Devour's Gauntlets too, they're not going to heal as much on the lifesteal, which means you can win trades technically against crit, but it's not always about killing the other Hunter. Generally, you don't normally see the other Hunter.
Yeah, there's not a lot of boxing matches in the end game.
Yeah, once the laning phase is over, the Hunters don't really meet each other because you're both at the other end of a team fight. And then once that's over with, if you ever see a Hunter versus, I just want to see, this is what I'm looking for game 2, Moex versus Reels.
My God.
1v1, everybody else is dead.
Moex.
I just want to see that fight.
Moex is a savant.
Do
you know that he knows nothing about this game?
No, he really doesn't. He knows nothing. It's like...
It's infuriating. He doesn't even know the cooldowns of his own characters. Like, it's not even like, well, it's probably like 10 to 12 seconds for an Impale. He's like, no, I have no idea. I just hope it's not up when I go in.
I hope it's up.
And if it is, I'll just dodge it.
He went to a game, he was playing in a scrim and he turned around at the end of the game and went, I didn't get beats that game. I forgot. And I'm like, oh, God.
He's a savant.
He's amazing.
It's unreal. And Sayo talks about it. He goes, I can never not be on a team with him because I'll never want to fight him.
I mean, and that's us transitioning to Mortality now, who are going to be in the second game of today against SK. We've not seen them yet play.
Right.
We talked a lot about them because we have seen a lot of their scrims and the way they've come out.
I probably spent most of my time here watching Mortality because they're so dynamic.
Well, they've also scrimmed scrimmed consistently all the time. Like, whenever they've been in the studio, they've been scrimming every single moment of the time. So we've had a chance to watch many of them, and especially the scrimmed Aquila. We've seen them scrim Fnatic as well. They've scrimmed all the other teams from the other bracket because nobody wants to give anything away.
You know, there was, speaking of Mortality, as we get into the second match of the day, which is going to be Mortality versus the very close to bottom-seeded SK, who fell out of the SPL. They fought back in the Challengers Cup. Mortality, we didn't know. This is very stark for us because we watched hours and hours and hours and hours of Mortality scrims, and we've seen nothing from SK. Everything they do is a surprise.
It's really, really quiet from the SK. A lot more than
yes.
anything else. They did a lot behind the scenes of their own boot camping as well. They've done 1 or 2 scrims in the studio.
Did you see Reels yesterday? Are you kidding me?
Good.
Where at the end where he outboxed 3 people?
Yeah, well, he mezzed 3, killed the one that was weak, and went, okay, now I'll die because it's even.
And then didn't.
But the best thing was after the game, he was, you know that Titan dive that he did?
Yeah.
He dived the Titan. I'm like, what's he doing? He can end here. And then he died. And then I said to him, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I thought I had Fire Giant. I thought my Fire Giant was still up. I was going to kill him if I had Fire Giant. But it went off just in time, so he didn't manage to get it and went down, which delayed the game a little bit longer. But yeah, he played really, really well. Wasn't scared to engage and go in. That's why Moex versus Reels is going to be so, so big. I think those two, for me, are the 2 hunters that, it's going to be great to see.
Yeah, that boxing matchup is going to be the end-all. I mean, that duo lane is going to spell a lot of trouble either way for both teams. Honestly, both teams have amazing hunters.
They do.
They do. Reels is unbelievable, but I think I might give that one to Moex, man.
But when you talk about hunters overall, I mean, all 4 teams left in. The hunter pool in the EU is really strong.
Just to put my idea in perspective here, the TSM Invitational, they didn't tell me what was going on. I was just casting it. I was in the studio trying to do my thing. I thought, because of the way Moex was hitting shots, that it was LAN.
No, that's just Moex.
That's just Moex. He plays at like 200 ping.
Just Moex things.
Yeah.
When he first started playing Smite, he didn't join a pro team. He told me this is because he used to play on a laptop, and he used to get like 30 FPS.
Allied, to be fair, used to play at 15.
And he used to just play 30 FPS.
Just Allied things.
AD carrying, still doing well in lanes. I'm like, wow, okay. And then he gets a computer, and it's like, okay, now I'll fight even more.
Yeah.
And he's not scared to go crazy.
Oh, he's definitely not.
Always goes in. He's one of the players.
I was listening to them this morning, and they're like, Moex, just back up and freeze the lane. No, I want to fight him.
I want to kill him.
I want to I'll dive. Can someone rotate?
That's what he said. That's what he said. He's like, I'm just going big. The best thing is, like, I'm going to take the Phoenix, guys. I'm probably going to die. And then he died. This was in a scrim. It's like, and he didn't get the Phoenix even. He went, maybe I made a mistake. I said, did you use your sprint? He's like, oh, no. Could have used sprint. That's what I love about Moex.
It's crazy. It's like he doesn't have a thought process, but then you watch him outplay his opponent.
So many times.
Sayo says it, he'll kill you in a different way every time, and every time he kills you, you think, he meant to do that. He meant to do that front to back. He is a very clean player, very precise player, and we haven't been talking about him a lot. We should talk more about Sayo.
Sayo's one of these players that's had a lot of it. Well, I'm not going to say issues, but he's had a lot of changes because he did go into the solo lane when he joined up with Mortality.
Right.
And during the during the SPL, we saw him transition through many, many different gods. I think he was trying to find his god pool was the big issue because he was a mage player, obviously mid lane. Mages in mid. It's an easy transition to solo. However, when you're trying to expand your pool to the god that you don't get in mid lane, Chonga is a big example of one that he tried a lot, and a few of the warriors too. He didn't have. He took him a little bit of time, is what I want to say.
Didn't have that same je ne sais quoi.
Yeah. But I speak in French, we're in Germany.
Wait, this is Germany?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Europe's just like a thing.
Circle.
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Europe's a thing. Confirmed.
This is awkward.
Yeah, it is now. But yeah, I mean, Sayo had a few issues in the solo lane transitioning. There's talks of him possibly going mid lane.
Right.
That's what a lot of the teams have seen him do. They've done it some in scrims as well. It's kind of common knowledge now, so it's okay for us to kind of talk about it. And they've been performing very, very well since they did this transition to Sayo mid.
Well, that's where Sayo started. He was a mid player, and then he was a support, and then he was a jungle, and then he went back to mid, and he tried jungle again, and now he's solo after being mid again, and It's like Suntouch, but Suntouch did it just like, I'm a mid, I'm a ADC, I'm a support,
That's right.
I'm a jungler.
Suntouch hasn't done solo yet, though.
No, we'll see.
We'll see.
Season 2.
I've heard things about
Season 2 is coming.
Eventually, we'll see with that one. But yeah, Sire in the solo lane, but he's going to be up, if he is solo, he's up against Maniac.
Yes.
And we can't overlook Maniac. Maniac, for me, is probably the solo laner of EU right now.
Really?
We used to say it was Game Hunter, in all
Sure.
honesty. We used to say it was Game Hunter, and Game Hunter was the man.
I'm still on the
Killer
Zillia train, man.
Come on, Killer was. I don't know, I want to see that much up.
Zillion's OP.
I think Maniac is the one player in the solo that has grown the most over the course of what we've seen him play. I mean, on par with that, we've seen Comfrey grow, like we said earlier.
Yes.
But in comparison, I just think Maniac has expanded his god pool. He's kept his old god pool as well. His itemization builds the mystical mail that we saw last game in the Jonquil as well.
Right.
His decision making seems to be a lot stronger. When he rotates, he chooses the right moments to. Doesn't waste his time. And if you notice in lane against Game Hunter, as one example, is he was chipping the tower down the whole game.
Yeah, he likes. Well, that's his joust experience. Is that whittling. Every single time he sends Game Hunter back or pushes into the tower, he'll take a little bit. And those little bits eventually add up into a tower.
Yep.
And those early tower takes that he got allowed him to rotate earlier, get more experience, get more farm, help his team out. Those are Gold Furies, more pressure to the Gold Fury, which TSM was obviously trying for a lot in the early game. They stalled out a Gold Fury for over 20 minutes.
They did. I mean, transitioning from someone like Chunga to Chunga, Ra, and Afro were the three that we was most well known for when he actually played them. He had a very big Afro, which still gets banned away from him time and time again, but Comfrey a little bit more now. So that'll be an interesting one if they actually do face off. But with Maniac transitioning away from this Aphrodite, which is very backline to an extent, she's there to heal, support, poke in, poke out, use the back off damage, to having to transition to this like almost second frontline Guardian.
Right.
To an extent. He's gone Maniac, with his Zonqui, he was got a mystical mail, going very frontline tanky. So he's transitioned into with Amana as well. He's also very frontline. So he's done a good adaptation of his style and been able to bring in other styles too.
That and we're ignoring Raffer. This guy is...
Yeah, but there's a reason for that.
Why? Because we've been talking for more than 8 minutes?
No, because he's just bad. I like being BM with Rafa. The best thing is when I got to LAN, all the players were like, do you and Rafa really have beef? And I went, why? What do you mean? Because every time you guys are in chat, you're always BMing each other.
Well, to be fair, Raffer's banned in my stream.
Yeah, you don't let anyone below a certain GPM in your stream, though.
Bang. No, but Raffer is the strongest jungler in the game for the first 8 minutes. I've been saying this for forever, and after that mark, he starts to fall off a little bit. He's been working that on a ton. He has a much different god pool than what I think people are expecting. I'm very excited to see what he's going to start bringing to the table towards the mid game, because that's where generally he's been weakest. He was great in the beginning, he was great in the end. The mid game, he fell off.
It's going to be interesting to see from him. We've also got Zeros as well on the other side of things. But realistically, that's going to be game 2 today, and we'll go into that much more detailed later on.
Right, because game 1 is still coming up.
That's going to be right up after this short
so
break,
excited.
guys. It's going to be DM and Bart casting. First of all, though, we'll be going over to Zoe. But right now, let the players get themselves sorted out, and we'll be back on your screen shortly.
Hello and welcome to the Smite EU Regional Championship Day 2 here in Cologne, Germany. My name is Zoe and I have the pleasure of being the host for the show, and I can't wait to get the semifinals on the way. We saw some amazing games being played yesterday. We have 4 teams remaining. 2 of them will qualify and represent the European region in the World Championships, but only 1 will become the EU champion, so I can't wait to see who's that going to be. So we're going to head into our first game in just a bit, and of course we once more have an expert talk for that. This time I have Hinduman joining me here on the desk.
An expert?
You are an expert. Wow. I'm sorry to break it down to you.
Okay.
So, how does that make you feel now?
What, being an expert?
Yeah,
or?
is that good?
Are
you confident?
I'm not used to mics. Like I'm used to this.
You're doing
like
really
this
good.
normally.
If that makes you feel more comfortable, go for it. I have no issues with that. Okay, no, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. So let's talk about the first team. How about that? Aquila. They showed a bit of a shaky performance yesterday, even though they were considered to be like the dark horse. Everyone's like, oh, they're going to do really, really well.
Agreed.
But maybe the nerves kicked in. What do you think?
I totally agree.
What was
it? The first time for LAN for a lot of these players on the team as well. So when they've seen each other, they meet for the first time, they've got to get used to the fans, all in the audience, all the camera crews, the light and the heat. It's not the same as at home.
No,
so
definitely not.
That for the first time, go into a game against a well-known established team like they did, not an easy thing to do. So they struggled day 1. We've seen them before, though, in previous tournaments. They're normally on point. I think today, the nerves will have gone away. I expect them to play a lot better.
All right, so let's take a look at Akila. So that's the first team we're going to see here in the semi-finals. and they will go up against no other than Fnatic, and they came as the #1 seed here in their league. So how do you think they're going to do against a team such as that?
I mean, against a team like Fnatic are so 14-6. They won it in the SPL, first of all. #1 seed coming into this. They got the bye through. The thing is, a lot of the teams from the other side of the bracket said Aquila's the team to beat. But they've played against Fnatic through the whole Pro League, seen them, and still thinks that Aquila's good. I don't know, it's going to be tough. I see this best of 5. This is going to go all the way.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I'm hoping for 2 best of 5s and then a full-on best of 3 in the final. So that's like what I hope to see.
As a caster, that's what we want to see.
Let's see what the teams will give us in the end. So Fnatic, I mean, prior to the event, they showed a really, really good performance. The statistics speak for themselves. Now, they had a day of rest and actually had time to maybe check out how the other teams played and ease into it. Do you think maybe Akila is like warmed up already and therefore having maybe a better chance?
It helps a little bit when you get the first games, because this is what a lot of teams think is that coming in early, having that first game gets you settled in position, gets you used to the cameras and the crowd. Like we said yesterday, that they had a few issues with that. Fnatic, though, their experience last LAN, they won the last LAN, the TSM Invitational. They've met for the first time, most of them at LAN. Some of them never performed before, but they played outstandingly. I think it'll be the same again from Fnatic. 14-6 is not a record to just ignore. I mean, overall, very, very strong performance.
Definitely. So let's take a look at Team Fnatic. And that was Fnatic, ladies and gentlemen. I see the guys from Fnatic cheering the loudest for themselves, which I think is really cool. But yeah, so those are the 2 teams we're going to see, and that's definitely going to be a hell of a match. Oh, if you would have to bet your jelly beans,
no, please,
which one? You have to now. No. I'll put you on the spot.
I like jelly beans.
I know, but you have to bet them.
I can't bet jelly beans on something like this too much. Like,
okay, what would you be willing to bet?
I think it's going to go 3-2. It's going to go 3-2. I think Akila might win. However, I think if Fnatic win, they'll do better at Worlds.
All right.
So if I'm an EU fanboy, which I am, because I'm EU.
Yeah, I can tell by the bow tie, really. Very subtle.
I didn't think about that.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Claps for bow ties.
Perfect.
Claps for bow ties.
So.
Hooray. But yeah, I mean, if Fnatic go to Worlds, I think they'll perform better than Aquila. If Aquila go, I think they might win this one, though.
All right.
I think, yeah. It's a tough call.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can only see one of those 2 teams going to the Worlds representing the European region. And we will find out which of the 2 teams it will be. So let's get ready for the first semi-finals here of the EU Regional Championships for Smite. And for that, we're going to head over to our casters.
Thank you very much, Zoe. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the game #1 versus Aquila and Fnatic. Brandon, this game is, well, you had your choice of games. Tell me why you picked this one.
I did. After watching scrims, not to discredit SK, I think Mortality might have an easier time with SK. SK could make the comeback. They
really?
they can make the call by any means. They beat TSM, which I didn't expect as well. But I think this is going to be the hype game for me. This is the one I think I've watched the most. I watched a ton of scrims from Aquila.
Yep.
I watched a ton of scrims from Fnatic. I know their weaknesses. I know their strengths, and I want to see if they can fix them going into this. And it's just going to be instrumental.
Yeah, that is going to be, you know, the kind of success factors here for Fnatic. Their strength doesn't come out of their mid laner necessarily, right? It's more about those outside lanes, more similar to some of the games we saw yesterday. We were kind of talking about these games are going to be really determined by how those solo and duo lanes do. I think that really holds true here in this game as well. Advantage probably to Akila in that mid lane, though. I mean, you know, Shadow Nightmare is a very kind of passive player, doesn't bring a lot of pressure to the map, more of a farmer. Godpool also a little bit less robust than some other players. We see Shadow Nightmare silent more. Yeah.
I think now, it used to be probably the strongest.
Right, yeah, he used to have a lot of picks in the pocket. But
and now it's been a little bit weaker, but he does have those core picks, which make him very
Or
very
it could
scary.
just be that Xaylia is bringing so much pressure into the the picking phase that he's always getting what he wants.
That's true.
Right, you know, that's another way to look at it, I suppose. But Akila definitely has to work cut out for him. And when you talk about Akila, to me, you're talking about Repicos.
Oh my God, Thor got banned. I can't believe it.
Yeah, you're talking about Repicos. I mean, we saw him with the quad kill in the Kali yesterday. He's kind of always been one of the best junglers in Europe and the world.
I see. To me, he's always been like that mid-tier jungler. That, well, we need a sub this week. Maybe we should pick up.
Right. Yeah. But I've always felt like he has always performed. He's always kind of played up to the teams he was playing on.
Yes, exactly, 100%. And then he's still overlooked all the time. And after yesterday, though, I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind that guy can turn tides.
That guy and perhaps Kali as well. Really flexing her muscles as a late game hyper carry there. But our bans are coming through here. It's Thor, Amir banned out by Aquila, so they are going to get rid of that respect band, Frosty Axe Amir.
Yes.
We also saw Amir be very successful in the support role yesterday, Badger notably.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, I saw a lot of Ymir coming out from...
the Devil?
Yeah, from Half Devil. I mean, that character does very... early Raw.
Yeah,
over
first pick's coming
Freya?
through. Raw coming out, and then an immediate Freya Geb from Fnatic, and that's got to be pretty much exactly what they're looking for.
Real quick. Fnatic pick Geb, and they ban Sir Cat. Like, thank you, Fnatic.
Oh, yeah.
I love you.
They finally went with the DM picking strategy there.
For the love of God, please. Sylvanas is strong, especially early game. He is incredible.
Yeah, more of a push, though, than that
Right.
kind of... Even though he has a lot of teamfight control, it's very easy to aggress onto him. That's what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I mean,
Trixtank didn't bring enough. Yeah.
He got caught a lot. I mean, he's not a character that can get away. Maybe Trixtank is very used to having that bird form from Wukong, or having the Hercules driving strike with the heel.
Surprised not seeing play any Hercules. He practiced it so much.
I was really hoping for it.
Well, we do have our early picking phase here concluding. It's going to be Ra, Nua, Apollo on the side of Aquila. Fnatic has taken Freya, Geb, and Vamana for Xaylia.
Xaylia gets Vamana.
Yeah, they have probably drafted exactly what they would have wanted.
This is dream comp
Given
so far.
taking no mid laners, right? They are going to give up Nua Ra, which historically is going to be
Very strong.
very shut down mid and solo lane. Apollo kind of looking like the strongest hunter role player right now. With the exception of maybe Freya.
I think it's Freya.
Yeah, definitely the strongest physical damage in hander.
It's
right
curious to me to see the Apollo pick instead of the Rama, considering that Apollo lost a lot of his fight potential against Freya with Serenade's nerf.
That's right, yeah. That is interesting to see that. But Apollo does bring that mobile presence and can force Freya, as we saw in some of the games yesterday, can really force Freya to stick to that lane because he's just so much more mobile than she is.
Right.
He can leave the fight, go back to the lane, or vice versa, force her to stay there and keep that Freya out of some of the mid game. But wow, a Isis ban coming out there, Shadow Nightmare, definitely one of his favorite gods, but not something that people really consider to be like a top pick ban right now. Yeah, a ban ever, really.
maybe the second phase. Maybe they know something's coming. I like the Kali respect ban as well to Repikaz after his show yesterday. Option back over to Fnatic, where they're going to hover on and possibly lock into Hun bots.
Wow. It's surprising to me that they would ban out Kali, given how they pretty much have drafted the strongest late game team possible right now.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like this is a game that'd be okay to let the Kali through, maybe ban out something that gives them a little bit more control.
See, for me,
which is what they're missing. Very light on CC on the team so far.
Vamana and Freya are not early game gods.
True.
And Kali is the worst early game god.
Right.
So maybe Hunbots will get them through the laning phase a little bit faster, allowing Freya to come online, Vamana to come online. Left side, we're going to see Athena Hoverdon coupled with the Nua Apollo. They're going to have a lot of global potential.
The first time we've seen Nemesis in the tournament as well here. Drafted on the side of Aquila. Definitely helps out against that Vamana, shutting him down a bit. But coming out of the jungle, he will be going into the solo lane versus Magical with that physical jungler. So it's kind of ideal setup for Aquila here to take out that Vamana. But what they're missing is the Freya, which has historically been the best pick into Vamanas to kind of shut them down as they start to come online at about the 25-minute mark.
It was very smart of Fnatic to pick up Freya. I really don't think Aquila should have been able to get that from them. I'm very surprised to see them not go for the first pick. And
this Ra has to do work. Pretty Prime in the mid lane is going to have to...
I did not expect Ra at all.
And honestly, you know, it's interesting to put that Ra in the mid lane. He's really excelled in both the mid lane and the solo lane, as has Nua. And I think in this game I would prefer to see Nua in the mid lane, just because she's got a little bit better... you know, potential to survive the ganks from bots.
Yeah, you know, even after saying that Pretty Prime was playing Ra, I still expected Ra in the solo lane. This is very strange to me.
Because it's just the new you pop beads, you use your ultimate, you're going to get out of a lot of that damage that Hunbots is going to be able to do to you. He has a very short kind of window where he spikes his damage, very bursty style of God. Pop beads, get out of that ultimate, and then go take to the sky for your ultimate. You know, it seems to be a little bit more, I guess, safe to me than the Ra in the mid lane versus Hunbots.
So as we get into this, remember, guys, the winner of this set will qualify for Worlds. The loser of this set stays in Europe.
Yeah, and kind of to put this into perspective, perhaps, is given that the European and North American teams will be the favorites going into the matches versus Latin America and China, assuming that they win all their matches.
In the round one.
That's right. In that first round of the Worlds, that this game could potentially be worth a minimum of $250,000.
Right, we're kind of estimating towards $300K.
Yeah, that's right.
This is almost a $300,000 set. That kind of makes me want to puke.
Yeah, I know. That's a tremendous amount of money. And as we get into the game here, ladies and gentlemen, remember that you can go ahead and enter a raffle over at esl.gg/Smite raffle. 400 gem codes. There's like 1,000 of them to give away. So make sure to get your entries in if you want a shot at those gems. But we are underway, and, well, Fnatic is... they're taking their the scenic route through the jungle here.
And Aquila's just like, I don't feel like fighting that team at level 1.
Yeah, they're going to be okay on that. And they have that early ward at the orange buff that spotted out some of this rotation. So
yep.
They're fairly confident that they are not going to get picked up in the jungle.
Now, do you think we're going to see any buff invade? Do you think they're going to go for it? I mean, they're still grouped up at 10 seconds too, which is a little bit strange, but it looks like they're going to start to split.
Yeah, you know, I don't think, well, you know, they could have, Fnatic does have the Hog too, which would allow him to, you know, kind of get a bit more, but he's really going to be forced to take that on the right side of the map. You're really maybe looking more for Repicos. If you had a Hog too, I said perhaps it would have been Aquila looking for at least some kind of steal. Nemesis just so mobile in the early game, and really all stages of the game, but she's just going to take slice and dice here instead of the dashes, so, well. No invades, no early game pressure. Go ahead and introduce your teams. Ladies and gentlemen, fighting out of the blue side of the map, it is Aquila. It's going to be Repicos on the Nemesis. Pretty Prime will be your Ra in the mid lane. Kanye, Life, and Ataraxia in the duo lane as Athena and Apollo. And finally, that leaves Confrey on the Nuwa in the solo lane.
Over on the other side of the map, this is going to be the chaos. We're going to see the first seed coming into this tournament, and that's going to be Team Fnatic. Funball, captain of the team, going to be going to the duo lane with Half Devil, the shot caller on Geb. We're going to see Shadow Nightmare in the mid lane as Agni Frostiak in the jungle with Hunbat, and Zalea, one of the strongest players worldwide, immediately goes to that Vamana.
Red buff invade coming out. Half
Devil drops it.
Oh, the Hog.
Oh, just barely put that down. I can't believe that right there. That was crazy. Oh my God. What is happening around this map?
Around the map, but that's no. Let's talk about this though. This is really, really big for Aquila. They steal red buff and they trade the mid laner. That puts them ahead by quite a bit. Because now coming back to the lane, Shadow Nightmare will have access to his red buff, while on the other side, it's been picked up and used by the Nemesis. But look on the left side of the map here. If Fnatic can hold Aquila out from stealing this orange buff as well, or from taking their orange buff, perhaps steal it away, they can get themselves back into this game. But right now, a small advantage, but an advantage nonetheless, about 400 experience in favor of the Aquila boys.
That was very smart. Their aggression was well-founded, and Half Devil, I mean, you hate to see those kinds of things happen. He missed that Hog by 1 auto attack. Even with Geb, that auto attack would have taken it down.
That 34.5 damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Ataraxia going to take a bit of harass here. The Archer's also putting a lot of damage into him. A great banish there by Funball. Very heads-up play to get, you know, a little bit ahead in this lane here. Granted, Ataraxia does have that lifesteal that the Devourer's Gauntlet grants, but it's 7%.
Right, compared to Funball actually throwing out 15, that's AoE.
Yeah, that Freya passive lifesteal is pretty good, huh? 50% so, passive.
Speaking of Funball and Ataraxia, they have been just instrumental in their team's victories. I mean, front to back, every time we talk about Aquila, it has been Ataraxia, Ataraxia, Ataraxia. Look at the builds, look at the damage. You can see his KDA is 3.1, but you go over to Funball, 4.5 KDA, but only a 408 GPM.
Let's take a look at the mid lane here. Actually, you know, this is interesting. Frostiak has leached quite a bit of experience off of the mid lane here. Sitting at level 5 ahead of Shadow Nightmare. Granted, he did die a bit earlier, but you can see how that's paid out. Pretty Prime just a little bit closer to hitting that level 5 right now than is on the side of the Agni. About 1 creep wave. Both of them are going to hit it in this next one, but, you know, ever so slightly getting ahead. And this is, you know, that Aquila XP difference. It's gone up by 100 since we last checked in. They're continuing to get a little bit more out of the map than Fnatic. And well, if they get about 1,000 experience ahead in this early game, it's going to be meaningful at this first mid-hard contest.
You know, I'm looking at Confrey, speaking of experience, far and away the highest 700 right now comparatively to anyone else. But we're having huge pressure over on the left side.
Half Devil's in trouble.
They kind of got aggressive a little bit early there. Half Devil's out. Here comes Funball. Doesn't find it. That Freya nerf really ringing true right there.
Oh, what a banish on Ataraxia. He comes crashing in. Kanye Life's going to use the ultimate on Ataraxia just to try to mitigate some of that damage coming out from Shadow Nightmare.
Did nobody die?
Nobody dies there, but a lot of damage dealt to Fnatic, and they're going to have a harder time continuing their farm here versus Aquila, who should, once again, pull XP out of this. Now 1,000, 1,200 gold ahead, 420 gold. The XP, however, continues to stack up, and they'll be able to go back to lane safely while well, on the other side, Fnatic has to go back and get some HP.
Well, right there, they actually did manage on Aquila to get both mid camps as well. Confrey rotated very quickly after Xaylia backed, which is very strange. But Xaylia does have Sonagaya online, so I don't expect that baby to be dropping anytime soon.
Right side buff camps coming up here shortly. Orange and red going to be respawning. You can see the junglers already there, not wanting to get those invaded at this stage in the game. Nemesis looking to secure this red. She did pick it up at the beginning of the game here. It has a red buff, that orange buff active on her, so likely going to be giving this one away to the Raw. And Pretty Prime, well, Hunbots has not factored in yet to kind of that situation we were talking about earlier in the game, that Raw's going to have a bit of a harder time dealing with the Hunbots. And with no beads, no sprint, no Aegis online yet, no actives in fact for Pretty Prime, I'm surprised you don't see Frostiak trying to make a play there.
Yeah, Frostiak has been a little bit quiet. He did actually jump into that mid camp before.
Yeah, use his ultimate, but didn't secure anything off of it.
He should have jumped in maybe a little bit harder. He just barely was able to jump out at the end there. We're going to see the blue go down on top, and strangely, we're not seeing this get split. Vamana pushing there, even after the wave was down a little bit late. I think that might be some wasted experience.
He pushed the wave into the tower to try to strip some gold off of Confrey, I think. But yeah, you'll see already Confrey getting that experience advantage, level 8 to the level 7 of Xaylia's Vamana.
You know, one of the things, speaking of strengths and weaknesses from the pregame, one of the big weaknesses for me on Fnatic was the fact that nobody on this team except for Half Devil talks. I mean, they are very silent. They're only calling these very important things. And right there, Frostiak and Xaylia could have said, like, listen, wait 5 seconds, I'll be there, split the gold, split the experience, it'll be huge. And then I can even come up and maybe rotate to a small camp, or I can push into mid with you. I mean, there are things to do, and they're not working cohesively. Whereas look at Aquila on the map right now. Look at the grouping. Look at the potential of block to ensure that Shadow Nightmare is going to lose gold to the tower. This is very, very communicative play.
Yeah, all things told, Xaylia not the most talkative member of the human race.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Love this play, though.
Too,
Look at Ataraxia. This is a lot of the reason why I think he does so well. Back camps picked up.
Yeah.
Back camps are, I think, maybe the place that you could see the most improvement out of all of the pro teams is getting those on cooldown and putting them in their side lanes.
They just let them sit there for like 3 minutes at a time. Just kill them. They'll be back up soon.
Now, granted, it's very hard to maintain kind of lane positioning and have that all work out in sync. Left side lane, Ataraxia is going to take a knockup, but no aggression coming up from Funball. It's still perfectly happy to farm, but there's a 3-man grouping in the mid lane for Akila as they're going to try to push Fnatic off of the mark on the left side mid camps. Right side ignored for now. We may have a bit of a skirmish. Oh, Kanye Light's going to go in, but he misses the taunt. Shadow Nightmare, what a play. Half Devil, though. He's going to get blown up. That Nemesis ultimate really, really shining there. And Pretty Prime picking up that kill. That's good news for the Raw, helping him get out ahead and recover a bit from that early death.
That ultimate from Nemesis came out. That Divine Judgment came out almost the same frame that we saw Ataraxia land directly into it. That way he could land on top of the Cataclysm without getting stunned, without taking the damage. Does a ton of damage himself. And after that missed taunt, I really expected Aquila to throw that fight completely, and it was actually the opposite.
Frostiak burns his ultimate there to try to get out, and noticing that Aquila goes for the gold fear. What are they going to do about this? They killed off the Geb. He's not going to be able to rotate in time, and they know the Hunbot's ultimate is down. They saw him rotating to the right side. They pick it up for free. Shades of that TSM SK game here. You know, the minute you get the advantage, anytime pre-10, a very North American style play.
Yes.
And it's taken from Aquila that boosts their gold differential up to about 2K, which is a fairly substantial lead for 7 minutes into the game, and 2,000 experience as well, even more importantly, that experience.
The 1 inch that Aquila got off of killing Geb turns into a mile, not only off the left mid camps, but rotating immediately to a free 1,500 gold, extending their lead now up to 2,700 experience and 2,000 gold, a lot of which right now is on Confrey, who continues his pressure, already level 11.
Oh, man. Yeah, Confrey, look at that XP per minute graph you see up there. 760 XPM, over 130 XP ahead of the Vamana.
How is that even possible? I mean, gold I can understand. He can strip away in the early game.
He's 500 gold ahead as well.
Yeah, but a lot of that could be the gold fury, but how is he 120 experience?
I don't know. I mean, and then look at the disparity there. Another 100 before you get to the Raw, but, I mean, that's huge. And a 2,000 experience advantage.
Oh, and Fire Shards is now back up, just came off a cooldown. And given the damage that he has already built up, I mean, you look, actually, he has built Breastplate of Valor, meaning cooldown reduction is going to be huge. That means more Fire Shards, that means more Shining Metals, more stuns coming out from the minions. It's a huge play.
Yeah, even with the creep score advantage here from the Vamana, it's still down in gold. Yeah, right side, we have a 4-man grouping from Aquila. They're going to invade this orange buff. Frostyak notices it. He hogs too early. They may have stolen this one away. They did indeed. Repicos picking it up, and a brilliant snipe from Pretty Prime, taking down the jungler from Fnatic. Fnatic has their hands full with Aquila, and now taking to the sky is Ataraxia. He's going to bail out of the dual lane, but they get a big invade on the right side, and they can pressure this tower now. Looks like they want to go for a bit of a push.
Yeah, they're going to do some pretty decent damage here as well. Xaylia has decent push himself, but if he overextends here, he could wind up taking a lot. Even burning his ultimate at this point could be detrimental because Comfrey would be able to just counter that immediately after it's done.
Yeah, the Vamana Umbrella rank doing a lot to those minions as well, but they're going to invade the blue. Good idea, stick around. And now what you should be looking for here is, you know, maybe the Agni to make a play, but no, Half Devil with a decent ultimate there, but they don't have a lot of follow-up damage, and he misses that hog again. Kanye going to channel that ultimate out and bail himself out onto Confrey. Repicos going to take some damage for his trouble, but Nemesis very mobile. 11 seconds before the dash is back up. But Confrey stuns out 3, and there's the power of Nua. Big time AoE stuns out of that god, and well, Pretty Prime in the meantime, he's soaking up XP mid.
Comfrey, that was beautiful. He separates, he throws the minions in, finds a 3-man stun, which is not an easy thing to do in this game, especially with that character. We're going to see a stun in the back. Actually hits 2. Comfrey super low, forced into the fire shards. Up into the air he goes, but the Geb shield keeps Xaylia not only alive, but very healthy.
Yeah, alive and happy. Red buff going to be picked back up here on the right side by Aquila. Now, the shining hope for Fnatic here is going to be Funballer. He's really kept Ataraxia pinned under the tower. He stripped a lot of gold away, but the experience advantage in favor of Ataraxia, and with that Gold Fury, he should stay at parity. Trying to make a play now. The blue buff right side is Fnatic. Big knock up. The Hunbot's ultimate is there as well. They can secure at least 1 kill. Beam ripping through, doing a lot of damage. Repicos forced out Pretty Prime as well, but the blue buff still went the way of Aquila. How did they get that in traffic?
I don't understand.
Madness.
They have gotten every contended camp, every contended buff. Like up there at the blue buff, you hear me go,
wow.
Oh, Half Devil. That was the
Look
second
at that experience graph.
What, again?
4,000 experience now. They're up. They've doubled their lead in the last few minutes without objectives, without a lot of kills. Just, as you mentioned, winning all the contention.
Yeah.
Forcing groupings out of Fnatic that get nothing while getting a lot out of their own. Aquila.
You know, I'm looking a lot to this. I mean, we're talking about Comfrey, we're talking about Pretty Prime. I want to talk about Repicos.
He may get the tower here.
This guy has been everywhere on the map. Those ultimates have been perfect. They shut down Frostyak early. They shut down Half Devil. Half Devil has already taken the brunt of the damage. He's 0-1. He's been forced out twice, and yet still is almost even gold with the jungler, and he's even gold with the duo lane hunter. And that's just, at this point, not okay. Diving in, Kanye gonna force back Funball, but they're not gonna get much off of it. Ataraxia gonna spend some time here in the base, almost fully stacked at this point. I expect the boots will be done.
But is this enough, Brandon? 4,000 experience, 2,500 gold, 11 minutes in. We mentioned during the drafting phase, Aquila, a much more early game oriented team versus that Fnatic who's going to come hitting a very heavy late game.
Right.
Hunbots, Freya, Vamana. 3 hyper carries on the side of Fnatic. Freya maybe a little bit under the kind of the carry potential that you see out of Xaylia. Frostyak obviously brings a lot of crit, but Hunbots, I mean, he's just so risky in the later stage of the game. If you miss that ultimate, you're pretty much just nothing. But, you know, I mean, that Repicos, Pretty Prime, you know, that Nemesis, Dash, Fist of the Gods setup for Raw Snipes is really strong during the mid game, as is Athena, as is, you know, Nua, basically, and that global presence. So, you know, what do you think here? I mean, is it enough? Do they have a big enough lead to take this game down in the late game?
What I'm looking at is the fact that they have 2 sentries on the map, 2 in the inventory, and there's not a single point of vision aside from 1 regular ward in the inventory of Fnatic. As the Gold Fury respawns, Half Devil's in trouble.
Pulling.
This is real big. The Cataclysm's already down. Frostyak still has his ultimate here, but is just the Fear No Evil going to be enough?
So clever. Funballer got to look for that big banish to reset this here. Will he get it? Yeah, they're forced to reset, in fact, as the team move forward, but they might be able to fight as they can indeed. Funballer explodes. Half Devil a lot of trouble as well. Repicos gonna be able to stick to him. The snipe just off the mark, but it should be enough. Repicos gonna bail out. They keep. Oh, Shadow Nightmare, big rotation. They didn't catch his backside fight. Ataraxia is gonna have that Athena ultimate on top of him, gonna shrug off some of the damage from the Agni. Oh, Frostyak gets bursted by Comfrey, but here comes the baby. He finds a kill into Ataraxia. Half Devil comes back in, but the taunt comes through, and Fnatic has played that fight about as perfectly as you possibly could, picking up 4 members of Aquila, trading only 3 of their own.
What is Half Devil doing? He just like stopped directly in front of Comfrey. Xaylia, not a lot of mana left, and despite the fact that they do win the fight, Half Devil right now should not be backing. There is no reason for him to be backing. He should be going for mid camps. He should be
look at that. Both of them, all
Fury.
3 of them get a back. Right side mid camps up.
Are you kidding? This is not the
mental
play.
mistakes.
Aquila will not let you get away with these kinds of mistakes. Right now, Comfrey's like, well...
Hold on. No. Fire Shards was up in 5 seconds.
He has Geb Shield. He would have been fine.
He had just used it, though. I mean, it would have been close. And they had many members sitting at about that 50 HP mark. It looks to me like they had the timer on that Confrey ult.
They didn't need to send unless they're going to immediately go for the Gold Fury here. That's wasted time.
Fair. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, but maybe it's more the strength of Nuwa there.
Oh, wait, can this ward see?
I think he sees it, yep.
Yeah. Oh, the Sentry getting 2 sentries in return, and a ward, picking up 300 gold worth of wards, albeit they were about to go down, maybe a little bit lower. Into the air, we're going to see Funball go immediately.
Go deep.
Fire shards, but
Not
the Geb Shield.
Ataraxia stunned out. The bombs are big, but he rolls away from the second one. Hunbot trying to close the distance. Fnatic here. He's got a great angle. Does he want to go in, however? No. Oh, the ultimate is available, just coming off.
Did he miss that?
Cooldown. No, he hit 2 there, but it wasn't probably where he wanted it. Pretty Prime picks up Shadow Nightmare. That's a lot of the burst damage gone. Repicos, well, he's not going to be too worried about Funball. He's trying to get to the backlines. Confrey going to get rushed down by Xaylia here, and Fnatic has started to turn this game back into their favor. The big baby ripping through the team, but Repicos picks up Frostyak now. They don't have that Hunbots. No crit damage available. Their physical purse really falling on the side of Fnatic, and Repicos is going to try to chase down Xaylia. But the slows go in both directions in this matchup. Pretty Prime's going to have to hit some damage here. No, that's it. Funball or the Banish.
The issue there is that now that the Banish is down, they don't have the potential to move Funball back in. Pulse of Radiate at this level of the game is not going to do it, and his ultimate's down. This Gold Fury, for all intents and purposes, should be free with Cataclysm on cooldown. Half Devil gets spotted, which means he's not blinking. See the rollout. He's actually getting pushed away. Free Gold Fury for Aquila.
Second one picked up for them of the game as well, and that does give them a reasonable... They've kind of wrestled back that experience here. Fnatic wins a couple of fights, or really just even in a couple of fights, taking that lead down closer to about 3,000, 2,500 experience. Now they're taking it back at the 5K, and their gold lead, well, it's shot back up a bit above where they were before those fights as well. 4,000 gold in their favor.
And this is what I'm talking about. You saw them back in the mid lane. They didn't gain anything off it. Pretty Prime, low mana, still has full health, but he doesn't go back immediately. He has 1,900 gold in hand, is about to go back now, and taking a look at his inventory, I think that's going to be the
See, now look at Aquila. See, now they're playing your game. Nuwa sitting there waiting for the Nemesis to come in to finish off that back camp. Really, really paying attention to maximizing their efficiency, especially on the XP side of things.
Yeah, and that's smart. And look at this. Repicos immediately puts the red down after splitting it, goes over, splits the blue buff. Pretty Prime still has a chance to pick up the red buff after clearing the wave. I mean, this is communication. They're talking. And Frostyak's jumping into fights he doesn't belong into.
And
Half Devil's
looks sluggish.
They're very slow. They're using their ultimates way too soon in fight. Funball has been forced into his ultimate 3 times already, and he's not getting damage out of it.
Funball, I mean, forget Funball. Let's talk about Half Devil. Half Devil's, he has yet to have an offensive Cataclysm.
I honestly think it doesn't really come down to the fact that he's getting picked so much as his team isn't following up on the situations that he's creating.
Sure. Yeah, but I mean, like, we haven't seen him initiate a fight yet. Once again, they're going to get half of his life before he can even react. Geb Shield comes out, and it's going to be Frostyk's ultimate to bail out the support. Not what you want. Ataraxia coming up over the top. Half Devil, he's going to fall to that Apollo ultimate. Down he goes indeed. Pretty Prime's going to get chased down by Xaylia, but Xaylia sprint 3 pop. Pretty Prime, he's going to have a hard time getting away from this one, but the team is here. No Nemesis ultimate to help peel this, and Xaylia will get the return kill onto Pretty Prime. But it's a 2-man taunt coming out. Frostyk's going to beads it away. They are going to burn through that Repicos shield, and he's starting to fall very quickly. The dot from Shadow Nightmare is enough, and Fnatic continues to kind of stay in this game based on their really strong individual play. But they aren't looking that powerful as a team. You know, a little bit more synergy probably coming into game 2. This is their first game played in a tournament versus Aquila's fourth game played. Well, in the meantime, what we didn't call out here is the right side. Nuwa picks up that tier 1 tower, pressures the tier 2, but won't get any damage on it.
You know, I think the new strategy for Fnatic is send in Half Devil, make them use a bunch of stuff, and then we'll counter-initiate with Vamana. And that seems to be the plan here. Right there, Vamana ran the train. And straight up, Xaylia blew them away. He's 4-0-3 right now.
Yeah.
Has 1,700 gold in hand.
I don't think it's enough from Akila, honestly.
It's not. They have to do something. They have to save the ultimate for Xaylia. They can't be using it on Half Devil or Agni or, you know, all these characters that are squishy. It must 100% exclusively be used on the baby.
I'm thinking less tactically, more overall strategically here. I don't think they have a big enough lead going into the 20-minute mark here to deal with the amount of late game from Fnatic.
From Freya, from Vamana, I'm like, how do you deal with that? If Apollo is not completely in carry mode, if Nemesis isn't level 18 by the time Xaylia is 20, there's not going to be potential to kill the baby.
Like, and Ataraxia, the only one with an open active slot, and he's going to have to go into that sprint probably to be able to peel from the Vamana, which means that they won't have the shell Granted, on the other side for Fnatic, they also don't have a shell active, but Zaylia already working into his creeping curse and creepier curse, as it were.
Well, there come the chin size as the Unicorn build starts to come to fruition. Confrey, a lot of damage as well, is actually opting into Soul Trap. Now, it's a little late for
right side lane. A lot of trouble with Zaylia. Big Baby's going to be used. They don't have any anti-healing with the Geb Shield. It's going to be enough. Zaylia barely making it out of there alive.
I'm really surprised that Repikas didn't get caught there himself. Half Devil diving deep, actually going to push Kanye right out of there. And they're going to maybe turn their sights to, the mid lane, maybe push down the tower. They're majorly groups here, and they're letting Apollo and Nua split push?
Yeah, that's not going to be a good trade for them. They're just trying to get something out of this, continuing to push in. They're going to get the tier 1 mid, a bit of map control out of it, but they're going to lose their tier 1 left, and they're going to take probably half of the damage on the tier 1 right, but they're going to continue this push, perhaps. No, I mean, and it's kind of the nature of Smite. Very hard to push into these mages in the mid game. They just have such good wave clear.
Look at the tier 2.
Yeah.
They used 2.5, and I say half because of Shadow Nightmare's Agni, 2.5 ultimates on a support to get a tier 1. Tier 1 drops in left for free. Tier 2 and right, even if Vamana manages to clear this
up.
there.
Why does Fnatic send 4 people to the left side of the map like they're going to kill an Apollo with his ultimate up? Why did they not go try to kill the Nua?
Well, to Confrey, the same thing. Why did he just run away from a tower that's literally one hit?
One hit, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they do have a Nemesis, so at any point, Repikas can go in there and then dash away quickly and pick it up. So, but yeah, granted, I mean, their trap was closing from Frostiak, but a strange call for Fnatic to try to pressure that Apollo.
Well, Gold Fury's coming up soon. It's in its final stage here. Only about 20 seconds or so until that comes up. Actually, no, now it's
Look at that build
seconds.
from Zaylia. He's not playing games today.
He got the
Third
rage.
item rage.
You think Vitalis or Witchblade?
Witchblade.
You think Witchblade?
Yeah, Witchblade because of the Apollo
sprint?
build. No, because of the Unicorn.
Oh, okay.
Right? I mean, he sees that he's going to build in that attack speed, and he says, okay, cool. I'll build anti-attack speed. And then, we haven't seen Zaylia build a lot of Fatalises on the Vamana.
Right.
He favors the Sprint 3 build much heavier now. We did see Maniac build both yesterday, and it was quite successful. SK, obviously, getting those wins, Turn up.
Ataraxia rotates back over to left to continue his pressure, level 17 right now.
Level 19 on the Nua.
But yeah, 19 on Nua and Vamana. 5-man grouping here as you're going to see Fnatic start to group up.
Fight it.
Yeah,
Go.
I think they should be going in. Like, I don't understand what they're doing. They have enough ward coverage to spot out. They can see Confrey on the right side of the map.
Yeah, they now see the Nua split pushing. They know the tower's done, and they could have already started this. They didn't see the Apollo back, which is important, however, I think. Now they started up, and now it's going to be in traffic. Raz rotated successfully to the other side of the map, and Nua takes the tier 2 and is going to pressure the Phoenix as the Gold Fury gets started. And all Kanye Life has to do is just stall here, and they may get a Phoenix out of this in trade. Big damage coming out. Apollo comes crashing in. Zaylia taking a lot. Shadow Nightmare already down in this fight. There's a lot of Fnatic's burst damage. Ataraxia still very, very healthy. And, well, pushing them off the mark is Aquila, and Nua is at the Phoenix on the right side.
I don't know if Fnatic's thinking that Akila's going to send them invitations to these things or, like, say, hey, this Gold Fury can be yours. They need to be more aggressive. They're so slow comparatively. Right side, Nua starting to get pressured by Half Devil. Zaylia rotates as well. Confrey is probably going to be able to escape from this at least
the tower
long enough.
Mid as well. Funballer gets blown up.
Yeah, exactly. She's going to be able to delay long enough for them to get into this tier 2. The Gold Fury's still available. This can be a 4,000 gold swing if they play their cards
Again,
right.
miscommunication. Half Devil goes to defend the tower, where he really should have been in the mid lane trying to bail out his damage carries, where Vamana also goes back and they lose that mid lane. They're going to lose their support as well. This could be Fire Giant.
They are grouping up towards the right side. It looks like they're going to...
They have Hog 3 up on Kanye Life. This is Fire Giant.
Oh, yeah, and look at this. Kanye's going to go back to heal and use Defender of Olympus to get back into the fight immediately. This is how you play
curse
Athena.
Online as well for Kanye Life. Here he comes channeling it back in. I don't think Fnatic has realized what they're going for. Shadow Nightmare may make his way over here to sniff it out, but the Fire Giant going to fall too fast. Akila flexing their muscles. They use a new ultimate to get the vision. They know exactly what's going down.
Confrey is a man after mine own heart. That was incredible. He uses the fire shards not for damage, but to spot out the rotation. He uses it for vision. Aquila has come to play today.
Yeah, they're going to pull ahead a lot now, and this may be enough. 10,000 experience, or 9,000 experience, 9,000 gold in their favor. With a Fire Giant buff, they can clean up the final towers. They take a Phoenix here before 25 minutes. I think they may actually sneak in before the Vamana comes online and put enough pressure onto the Fnatic base. If they can break it, they can probably win this game.
Right now, Kanye Life, same level as Frostiak. Trouble.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's a Hunbots. Hunbots is not a character that does well from behind.
No, absolutely not.
He tickles you. And looking at the build right now, he has Jotuns online going into Cloak, which means no crit.
Right. Just his passive is going to be adding to that crit, and so, it's still a pretty low percentage chance. Half Devil is going for that winged blade, but, it's not going to be in time. Aquila picks up yet another Gold Fury here, and, well, honestly, Fnatic doesn't have the best kind of stall-out style of team. They're going to have a hard time holding the base with only Agni really available to clear these waves.
The way that they've been playing today, Akila might be primed to take this set. Granted, it's only game 1, but they're 10,000 ahead. They have Fire Giant. They have a slew of global ultimates to ensure that they can split push. And look at where Ataraxia is right now. He's like, you guys take left, I'll start pushing up right, and we'll see if we can't force them to separate and make decisions, and then we can re-engage with our FG. Right now, and especially with the Nuwa minions, there's going to be very little Fnatic can do to keep them at bay. They have to fight, and given the fact that they're behind a Fire Giant, it's going to be very hard for them to win that fight.
Yeah, the Nemesis has been the key to success here, I feel like, for Aquila. Those early kills onto the supports and those tanky targets all set up by that Nemesis ultimate, stripping away the protections, and well, Pretty Prime just doing the Pretty Prime thing and being in the right place in the right time with those raw snipes.
Now, what do you do here? Who are you trying to block out? They're going to... Oh my god, Half Devil, goodbye.
That's the tank.
Fire Shards right there doing a lot of damage. Xaylia finally up into big baby form, fighting 3. Weakening Curse gonna send him to the wayside. And Shadow Nightmare trying to throw some damage down, but it's just not gonna be enough. Middle Phoenix under contention, and it will go down.
Aquila has successfully broken the base of Fnatic. They're gonna turn their attention to the right side now as well. It's been pushed up. Tremendous play from Ataraxia there. The captain, kind of dictating that play, pushes up the right side. They'll get 2 Phoenixes out of this instead of just the 1. Aegis burned on Funballer as well. And that's a long cooldown, 120 seconds before he's going to have that one available again. Well, they still have that Fire Giant buff active.
Shadow Nightmare just took half his health from Nuwa minions, regular minions, and shield from Nemesis.
Yikes. Oh, yeah, and he tries to drop the bomb, and Kanye does dashing in the sniper Pretty Prime, hitting 2. Brandon has left the building, ladies and gentlemen. Aquila with the execution, with the draft, and with Fnatic's number. They're going to push into the Titan, and it's no way Fnatic stops this one, ladies and gentlemen. Aquila looks like they will be taking game number 1. Funball takes to the sky. They cannot push them off in time. Too much damage out of that Nuwa, and the unchecked Apollo. Aquila takes game 1.
Ah, man, David Fry's got to be all smiles after that one.
Well, he may not. It's what, like 3 a.m. on the West Coast right now?
It's early. I'm dying. But wow, Aquila looked pretty unstoppable there. And what's crazy is you look at the draft. They have Geb, they have Freya, they have Vamana. This is the draft you want to get if you're Fnatic. And you look at the top side, and they're playing a lot of good characters, not a lot of great characters.
Yeah, I know what I really like from this play from Aquila here. They drafted 3 globals,
right?
And they used them pretty much optimally.
Yeah,
right. Like often you'll see, the Nuwa, the Athena, maybe the Apollo as well going to one side, but you rarely see the kind of global map presence that you get out of this game here.
Ataraxia was perfect. Yeah. Plain and simple. That is how you use Apollo.
Yeah, Ataraxia's play was phenomenal, and Pretty Prime was pretty much spot on there.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I mean,
the raw snipes were incredible.
He was always in the right place, it felt like, for those raw snipes. And Kanye Life leading the charge there. 12 assists on that god.
Yeah.
Rapikas as well at 12. I mean, as the pseudo frontliner Nemesis and the true frontliner Athena, they really brought a really, really interesting play style.
That's the key here. You look at the stats, and we have 7 assists, 9, 12, 12, and 8. And there was a 4-kill difference to 3, 5, 4, 8, 3. There should never be 3 assists.
That's right, yeah. I mean, with only a 4-kill differential there between the teams, as you mentioned, but doubling the assists on the side of KageQ to what Fnatic had, 48 to 23. At the end of the day here, Xaylia got his farm, but the team didn't hold out long enough for him to have the presence, and they never really got their carries online. I mean, look at Funballer, trying to go for a recovery Bancrofts there for the Fatalis. I mean, no demonic grip, really low on pen at that point.
Yeah.
He was not going to come online for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes in that game, probably.
At least. I mean, Bancross has to be finished. You can't leave it at Talent Drink if the thing is useless.
Yeah.
And then you have to build a demonic grip because you need that attack speed. I mean, it's necessary.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the danger of the lineup they drafted here. Was that, Fnatic, they didn't have any way to stall waves. They didn't have a way to effectively clear from their objectives, right? They're pushing her tower. Freya can't move forward. It's really only the Agni. And Agni, as you see, when he stops to channel that bomb, boom, in goes Kanye Life, picks him up.
Exactly, and the beautiful jump in by Kanye at the end, showing you why his name used to be Murder, dives to the back, finds 3, Pretty Prime with a huge hit. Like, how do you set things up at this stage? How do you get those optimal? Because when you think Athena, oh yeah, I'll just dive in, I'll taunt 3, and you'll snipe. Like you say that, it never actually happens.
Yeah, that's what I talk to my friends about. I'm like, yeah, come on, let's just do it. It's gonna be easy. The Ataraxia, this attack speed and penetration build worked out pretty well for him here.
It's very rare that we see this build. Almost as rare as, let's say, a unicorn.
still with that. But yeah, I mean, going back to Xaylia, 5-0-3 this game, but not enough.
I mean, not dying is obviously not enough.
No.
I mean, Vamana does two things very well. But if you get weakening cursed when 5 people are trying to kill you,
yeah, he doesn't do one of those
things doesn't do things anymore.
Well, we do a couple things as well, Brandon. Hopefully commentary is one of them, guys. Hope you enjoyed game number 1. Game number 2 coming up shortly, guys. It's going to be Fnatic trying to take a game and bring it even versus Aquila. For Brandon, I'm Bart, and we'll see you on the other side of the break for game number 2.